Hi my friends, welcome to the channel English Professionally, and this video is how to learn English words. So I really hope that you'll support this video with your likes, shares and comments, okay? Thank you very much. Okay, so are you ready? I hope so. Okay, I'd like to ask you several questions about English. So several questions means some questions about English. No problem, you're welcome. What interests you? So what interests you? So what is interesting for you? What do you want to know? I'd like to know more English words. Right. It's very important to be able to use them effectively. So to be able, it means that it's very important, yeah, when you can use them effectively, very well, very well. So I mean in your speech or when you speak. Yeah. That's the problem. I know about 3,000, yes, I know about 3,000 English words, but I can't use all of them in my speech. I see what you mean. It's called, or we call it, yes, it's a good structure, it's called passive vocabulary. Passive vocabulary, okay? So you need to turn it into active vocabulary. Turn it into means to make it active. So to make it active, okay? Not only passive vocabulary. So it's when you can speak and use these words. I absolutely agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. Yeah, good phrase. So I really agree with you. How can I do it? First of all, tell me what methods have you already used? Yeah, you know that we use present perfect with already. Have a look at our playlist on grammar, please. Well, I tried to learn 100 words a day. How was it? You know, I learned 100 words in one day and I was so happy. However, but then I faced some problems. Then I had some problems. So the learning process was getting more and more difficult, or was becoming more and more difficult. Really? The new English words I was learning. So the new English words which I was learning were getting or were becoming more and more complicated. So you know that we use continuous with this structure more, and complicated means really very, very difficult, and I was at a loss. Yeah, I was at a loss means I didn't know what to do. Yeah, I didn't know what to do. I was disappointed. I was really sad. I was really upset. I was so unhappy. Yeah, and I stopped doing it. So we say stop doing something, yeah? Stop learning English, yeah? So, or I gave it up, okay? Another way. Okay, it isn't surprising. It isn't surprising means, so I'm not surprised, I suppose, or I think that you tried to learn 50 words a day and you gave it up after a while. You gave it up. Gave up means you stopped it. After a while means after some time. So some time passed and you stopped it. You gave it up. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's right. I even tried to learn from 10 to 15 English words every day. I see. I know what you're going to say. You experienced the same feeling. You experienced means you had the same feeling and it became very boring for you. So not interesting, became very boring for you, okay? It was quite predictable, so it was easy to predict it. So it was easy to know, yes, to know actually, to know about this result. Why do you think that you need to learn a certain number of words every day? So a certain number means just look, just some numbers like 100, 50, 10 or something like this every day? Who told you that? Really, who told you that? It was my idea. Some people say that we need to learn a list of 10,000 English words. I know this idea. So a list, it means that when they are on paper, yeah, and you look at them, or maybe in a video, and you learn them. So in one place, when they are in one place. I know this idea. It's really very good, but it's mostly for people who want to revise their knowledge. So what does it mean, revise? For example, yeah, good phrase, someone learned English earlier and he wants to remember most common or most popular English words. In this case, or in this situation, or in this case, this method is really good. If you are a beginner, you can look, let's say, let's say 1,000 English words, but not much more. Yeah, you won't be able to remember them. So won't be able. It's for can't in the future. So in the future. So you can't do it in the future. You won't be able to remember them and use them effectively. So like your active vocabulary in your speech. So you need to do other things. Okay, you need to do other things. I understand. So what are your ideas? Really, what are your ideas? If you ask my opinion, so if you want to know what I think, I'm sure that learning English online in a video format is very effective. It's very good on the channel English Professionally. You can read and hear these words at the same time. You can hear the correct pronunciation or the right pronunciation. Okay? So you can hear not just separate words, but how they are used in context. Not just separate words like football, ball, video, but you have lots of examples. But how they are used in context, they are used. It's passive voice. So how people use them in context. So real examples. It's a real revolution in learning English. So it's a very big change. It's a very big change and it's a very positive change. Okay, should I try to learn English words without examples? I think it's mostly a waste of time. It means that you can spend some time on doing it, but it isn't effective. It doesn't work, okay? So really, to memorize English words or to remember English words, you need to hear them. This thing is really extremely important, very important. So you can't ignore it. You can't ignore it, so you can't say that that's not true, okay? That's not right. So there are so many books which help you learn English words, but I suppose, or I think that's the previous generation. So it's not about modern methods of learning English, okay? So video format of learning English will be dominating. So will be the main format, the most important format, yeah, more and more. So we talked about it, that we use continuous with more and more, will be dominating more and more. So when you learn a foreign language, you need to hear it. In addition to this, it means that I also want to say one more thing, or I also want to add something. It has a very positive effect on your listening skills. As I understand, I just need to focus on a video format. Actually not. It means that in fact not. Actually not, yeah, a good phrase. To avoid misunderstanding. So what is misunderstanding? It's a situation when you don't understand something completely, and to avoid means if you don't want to have misunderstanding, if you don't want to have this situation, unpleasant situation, not good situation, you need to understand the following, or you need to understand this thing, okay? So there are different channels for English learners. But I can't say that that's a perfect solution. It means that it's a very good solution. Solution is a way out. So way out of the situation. It would take a current situation into account. Yeah, it would take the current. Yeah, it would take the current situation because we know the situation. Okay, so it would take the current situation into account. What is the current or the present, the situation which is nowadays? It would take the current situation into account. It's a nice phrase, take into account or take into consideration. It means that you will look at the situation which is now. Or I can say it this way, you would take the current situation into account, okay? So we need to see the quality in the first place. Quality, yeah? Not just quantity, and abundance of information. Abundance means when there is lots of information and high quality, okay? At the same time, yeah? So, you know, it's a problem. So sometimes there are just few videos, yeah, and sometimes there are lots of videos, but they are useless, okay? So you also need to do different exercises. And most importantly, nice phrase, have speaking practice, English speaking practice, okay? What's the most effective way of learning English words? Well, let's get back to our discussion, or let's get back to our discussion. So focus on the video format, yeah, just concentrate on it, it's a good solution. But use additional tools. Additional means use other sources, use other websites, books. It's also good. So what do you mean, or what do you want to say? If you have this opportunity, or possibility or chance, speak English more and more. It will help you have a very large active English vocabulary. So it's a very important thing. You need to have a very large active English vocabulary when you know these words and when you can use them in your real speech, when you communicate with other people. Okay? I mostly do exercises and I read books. So mostly means mainly, or just it's the main part of what I do, okay? I mostly do exercises and I read books. Should I go on reading? So go on is a phrasal verb. It means continue. So should I continue doing it? Doing exercises, yeah? And reading. It depends on what books you read and what exercises you do. It depends, yeah, we say depends on. So it's about, yeah, what books you read and what exercises you do. If I look at my experience, it means what I did, so how I learned English, I can tell you that I was afraid of speaking. We say afraid of speaking, that I was really worried, I was very worried about that. Yeah, I couldn't speak. And I had the following problem, or I had this problem, and I knew lots of English words, but I couldn't use them in my speech. I had a barrier, so I had some problem and I couldn't speak. What did you do? How did you solve that problem? So what did you do, and so you didn't have that problem any longer? So really, what did you do? How did you solve that problem? It's a good phrase. Okay, I remember the words of one lecturer at university. So lecturer, a person who gives lectures, okay? So yeah, who speaks in front of students. So how is it connected with our subject or with our conversation? Let me finish. His words were the following. They are still in my memory. Tell me these words, please. No problem. I had to teach one subject and I didn't know much about it. I learned it while teaching, or when I was teaching, yeah? So my knowledge was getting better and better after giving more and more lessons. So if we look at my teaching career, so I had a similar problem. So I was afraid of speaking. I was afraid of speaking, yeah. So, and then I started giving English lessons, so I was speaking English more and more. The level of my students was growing, and we were speaking only English. Yeah, so first using elementary words, and then more and more advanced words and phrases. By the way, yeah, I specialize in speaking, so I specialize in speaking. Okay, so, and I think it's the most important thing, and I think that we need to help students, first of all, speaking, and I also help other people improve their grammar and listening skills. So I decided to create this channel to help other people. Okay, should I speak more to remember English words? Okay, so you can remember English words without speaking, but it will be mostly passive vocabulary. I know that most people learn English because they want to speak English. It's their main aim, so it's what they want to do. First of all, it's their greatest dream. So you need to speak English whether you want it or not. So whether you want it or not means so you want it or not, so it doesn't matter. You need to speak English. So if you want to have a very large active vocabulary, so speak more. It's a very important thing. I can't deny this fact. So I can't say that this fact, that we don't have this fact, that this fact doesn't exist. So that's true. That's true. You also need to speak on different subjects. So not only about, not only about traveling, not only bus tickets, not only about learning English, but different subjects, okay? Well, it's easy to say it, but it isn't so easy to do it. So I don't live in America or England, and I can't speak English quite often. I don't have money to pay for English lessons. I see. If people have money, it's better to take English lessons with a professional English teacher who can correct your mistakes and help you build confidence. Build or help you get or gain confidence. Fluency, it's when you speak English fluently. Confidence, it's when you speak English confidently. And help you feel comfortable. Yeah, not uncomfortable, comfortable. But don't think that you can't enlarge active vocabulary. So please don't think that you can't enlarge or widen, or you can't make your active vocabulary larger or learn English without it. Without taking, private lessons or paying money. So you can do it, but this way is a bit longer. No problem. I perfectly understand you. It means that I understand you very well. Should I find a speaking partner? Should I find a speaking partner? It's desirable. It's a very good idea. It's desirable, but there is one more thing which I'd like to mention, or which I'd like to say. You need to listen more and more. Listen to English speech. The channel English Professionally is extremely helpful, is very helpful. So I know lots of people start listening to the English radio or watch English movies, yeah. So yeah, they watch English movies, or yeah, and you say start listening to the English radio or watching, yeah, if you want to say start watching English movies or read English books or reading English books in the original, yeah. So in the original, it means that so native speakers wrote them and there are no changes, yeah. But then they give up this idea as they feel disappointed, as they feel sad or not satisfied. So okay, so if you want to enlarge your vocabulary and your level isn't upper intermediate or advanced, start with simple things. You've just asked me about books, and I'll answer your question, okay? Yeah, it's really so interesting. Go on, please. With great pleasure. With great pleasure. It means that I'm really glad, yeah, to continue talking about it. So if you are a beginner, start reading books for beginners. Yeah, so read one book. It can be difficult, but it's just in the beginning. Where should I take these books? So there are different famous publishers such as Cambridge, Pearson, Macmillan, and so on. They have English books for different levels, so the choice is stunning, very big. So these books are with CDs, yeah, with CDs. It's also very important for your listening skills. Okay, good. So to tell you the truth, I know it really helps. You need to know all the words which these books contain or which these books have. How can it be? These books contain most common English words and they're used in context. I see, I can buy them or download everything. It's up to you. It means as you wish, so you can buy or download, so it's your choice. Okay? So it's your choice really. I know that people often prefer to buy. Really? Why do they do it? For two reasons. When you want to download something, you usually spend much more time than you planned, yeah? And social networks and other things distract your attention, so it's difficult for you to concentrate. And secondly, so the second reason is that if people pay money, they have more motivation. And if you don't pay, you can be less serious, yeah? So, tastes different. And maybe one more reason, just, they want to thank this or that writer, so it can also be a reason. Well, what about reading English books in the original or classical literature? Okay, so in the original, so when we don't have any adaptation or classical literature. Actually, this question is really good. I can repeat my words. Forget about it if your level is lower than upper intermediate, okay? So you can spend lots of time, but ineffectively, not effectively. I want to read. I like reading. I am not telling you that you shouldn't read. Reading should bring you satisfaction. It's a very pleasant feeling, so when you read, you should be happy, yeah? If you see lots of unknown words or unfamiliar words, yeah, words which you don't know, I don't think that it's so pleasant to read it, so it's very unpleasant. Now, it's the first reason. Yeah, I got your idea. What's the second reason? Secondly, you don't need all these words, really. First, you need to know most common English words or most popular English words. You need to know them first. Why should you translate very rare English words which you'll never need and which are used only in books? Really, I don't understand it. Well, that's clear. It means that I also understand it. I understand. I fully support you. I support you completely or fully. Let me add one thing. So I want to say one more thing. Yeah, if you want to read and widen your vocabulary, keep in mind one thing. So just remember one thing. Yeah, have it in your mind. What is it? You need to learn modern vocabulary, yeah, but not, so let me repeat one more time words and phrases which are never used. You need to study modern English, only modern English. If you like classical literature, you can read it in English, but not at the beginning of your way. Don't think that it will solve all your problems. It can be a good hobby after you reach at least means minimum, an upper intermediate level. Well, what other things should I do? Should I read modern magazines or newspapers? What about cards with new words? How about words with pictures? Thanks for such brilliant questions, means excellent or very good questions. Learning words with pictures, yeah, just with pictures, can be very good if you're an absolute beginner. Yeah, really, if you're a beginner, it can be very good. It's also very good for children, yeah. You can learn, I suppose, or I think up to 300 words using this method. So using this method, or when you use this method. For example, you see a bear and you say, yeah, this is a bear, and that's clear. However, you need examples. However means but you need examples and lots of practice. Otherwise, it means that if you don't have this practice, you'll get bored with it very quickly. So it will be very boring for you. Did I answer your question? The fourth one. So what about my first three questions? Okay. You should read modern magazines. You should read modern magazines and newspapers. It's a must. So you must do it really. You won't learn English without it, so it's modern English. There is a wide range of vocabulary there. So wide range, it means that there is there are lots of words. There are lots of good words and interesting words there. In comparison with classical literature. So in comparison with means if we compare it with classical literature, so you can look at these books and classical literature and you'll see the difference. Okay, so definitely it means of course you should do it, but first reach an upper intermediate level. I see. What about my third question? What can you say about cards? I think this method has the right to exist, especially if you learn English words with examples written on these cards. Yeah? It's very important, not just words and translation, but examples written on these cards. Anyway, so it means anyway. Okay, but I don't think this method is really effective. You need to see these words in a different context. Different context, not just in one sentence. It isn't enough, okay? So really, and what is more, you need to build your own phrases and sentences with these words. So you should make up your own phrases and sentences. And you also need to hear these words in different situations. So 50 or 100 times to remember them. Really, to remember them for all your life, but not for a week or a month. Thanks a lot. What can you add? Oh, I see. It's a very good idea to learn English vocabulary with the help of special books. For instance, there are such books as vocabulary for elementary students, intermediate, and grammar also for intermediate and elementary. And when you study grammar, you also improve your vocabulary because you see lots of examples in English full of new and interesting words. Yeah, and so you can see them again and again. Okay, and it can also help. Have a look at these books, for example, published by famous publishers which are abroad, mostly in England or America, okay? What's the difference between these books and learning words with the help of cards? There is a big difference. All these words are grouped in a special way. You learn very important English words related to work, so words about work, related to work, about work, for example, related to, or for example, that connected with business and so on, yeah? So it's very important to learn English words in groups, okay? So it's easier to remember English words when they are in groups. I see. I've never thought about that before. I think this kind of vocabulary books will appear on the channel English Professionally in a video format for different levels, yeah? Not just for elementary students, but for different levels. Sure. Yes, of course. Especially if you and other people support this idea, okay? What else can I say? What else can I say? Good. What else can I say? Different dialects can be helpful too. If we look at the channel English Professionally, there are different video courses which include topics and dialects. It really helps if you want to enrich your vocabulary or to widen your vocabulary. I haven't talked about it. Learn English words in English conversations and monologues. If this vocabulary is simple and relevant, so very relevant, it's the vocabulary which you need. In other words, or I can say it another way, have a look at the playlists, different playlists on this channel, but we can go further, so we can create video for each topic, so most important words, topics, dialects, and exercises, so questions for speaking, for example. That would be great. So what about grammar books? Study these books if they were published by famous universities, so I trust them. I don't know why, so Cambridge, Oxford, maybe some American universities or famous publishers, okay? As a rule, these books contain very useful vocabulary, so very important thing, yeah? In other words, you study grammar and revise English words. Sometimes you can come across new words, you can meet or come across new words, and this method works too. Okay, so, well, I haven't run out of questions yet. Run out, it means that they haven't finished yet, so I have questions and I want to ask you some more. No problem, you're welcome. How about different websites for English learners, applications, and the method of associations? To be honest, this video format is a huge step forward, is a big step forward. Text and videos can't be compared, yeah? So we can't compare them, different things. I believe that video English lessons where quality is in the first place are much more effective. You can visit different websites for years, but if you want to have a perfect results, a very good results, it's better to watch it in a video format, not just ordinary videos but video courses, yeah? If you like certain websites and you feel progress, certainly you can use them, but I suppose that never be able to replace this kind of video courses completely. I mean, kind of courses that we have, yeah? So most websites for English learners can be really helpful for people who search for something online and search for, it means that who look for something online and who want to get this information quickly. What about applications? Why not? They can help you, but other sources and methods should be also used. I often hear that people talk about some associations. I got it. I suppose they can be helpful, but actually it's easier to do without them in most cases. The thing, you see, the thing is that the number of associations is limited, and you can spend lots of time on remembering these associations, so you need to speak English fluently, spontaneously, and almost automatically without long pauses or breaks. At the same time, associations can be extremely helpful if they help you achieve this aim. What do you mean? I mean that different memories, emotions, and other things can help you boost your vocabulary, so improve it greatly, but it often comes from experience or practice, as we often say. Is that all? Well, you also need to train your memory. Try to memorize something every day and you won't regret. So you won't be sad, you won't feel pity. So it will be a good thing, for you. Is it enough? I have to add that you need to plan your learning process. Have a plan. Don't think that this thing is unimportant. You need to plan everything thoroughly or very deeply, need lots of planning, build a program. So if you can't do it by yourself, ask for help. What about synonyms and antonyms? That's quite good, but we usually learn them in context too, okay? I'm sure, so I'm sure this lesson is really good. Life gives us lessons, I'm really glad that you like it. I suppose you need some time to digest this information. It means to think about it and make some conclusions, Absolutely, it means, of course, absolutely. Last but not least, it means the last thing but not the least important thing, It means that this thing is also of great importance. Start doing something, Don't put it off, Don't put it off. It means don't say, okay, I'll do it tomorrow, and then you said, okay, tomorrow, and then again and again. No. If you want to change your life, do it. Remember one thing. Your future is in your hands. Time flies. And it will never get back. So, time flies really. It will never get back. It will never return. Choose the best materials. Choose the best books, my friends. Videos, and success will come. Success and good progress will come. We all make mistakes, so everyone makes mistakes. Don't repeat these mistakes. Learn from other people's mistakes and use the wisdom of generations. Use the wisdom of generations and use the wisdom of this channel too. Okay, so my friends, thank you very much. So I hope that you really like this video, how to learn English words, and you really like our playlist on how we can learn English effectively. Just have a look at our playlist and enjoy learning English and make good progress as well. We're becoming more and more complicated. So you know that we use continuous with this structure more and more, and complicated means really very, very difficult, and I was at a loss. Yeah, I was at a loss means I didn't know what to do. Yeah, I didn't know what to do. I was disappointed. I was really sad. I was really upset. I was so unhappy. Yeah, and I stopped doing it. So we say stop doing something. Yeah, stop learning English. Yeah. So, or I gave it up. I gave it up. Okay, another way. Okay, it isn't surprising. It isn't surprising means so I'm not surprised. So I'm not surprised. I suppose, or I think that you tried to learn 50 words a day and you gave it up after a while. You gave it up. Gave up means you stopped it. After a while means after some time. So some time passed and you stopped it. You gave it up. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's right. I even tried to learn from 10 to 50 idea. It's really very good, but it's mostly for people who want to revise their knowledge. So what does it mean, revise? For example, yeah, good phrase. Someone learned English earlier and he wants to remember most common or most popular English words. In this case, or in this situation, or in this case, this method is really good. If you are a beginner, you can look, let's say, at 1,000 English words, but not much more. Yeah, you won't be able to remember them. So won't be able. It's for can't in the future. So in the future. So you can't do it. You can't do it in the future. You won't be able to remember them and use them effectively. So like your active vocabulary in your speech. So you need to do other things. Okay, you need to do other things. I understand. So what are your ideas? Really, what are your ideas? If you ask my opinion, actually it's called passive vocabulary, okay? So you needed to turn it into active vocabulary. Turn it into means to make it active. So to make it active, okay? Not only passive vocabulary. So it's when you can speak and use these words. I absolutely agree with you. Yeah, good phrase. So I really agree with you. How can I do it? First of all, tell me what methods have you already used? Yeah, you know that we use present perfect with already. Have a look at our playlist on grammar, please. Well, I tried to learn 100 words a day. How was it? You know, I learned 100 words in one day and I was so happy. However, but then I faced some problems. Then I had some problems. So the learning process was getting more and more difficult, or was becoming more and more difficult. Really, the new English words I was learning. So the new English words which I was learning in English words every day, I see. I know what you're going to say. You experienced the same feeling. You experienced means you had the same feeling and it became very boring for you. So not interesting, became very boring for you, okay? It was quite predictable, so it was easy to predict it. So it was easy to know. Yes, to know actually, to know about this result. Why do you think that you need to learn a certain number of words every day? So a certain number means just some numbers like 150, 10 or something like this every day. Who told you that? Really, who told you that? It was my idea. Some people say that we need to learn a list of 10,000 English words. I know this idea. So a list, it means that when they are on paper, yeah, and you look at them, or maybe in a video, and you learn them. So in one place, when they are in one place. I know this. Hi my friends, welcome to the channel English Professionally, and this video is how to learn English words. So I really hope that you'll support this video with your likes, shares and comments, okay? Thank you very much. Okay, so are you ready? I hope so. Okay, I'd like to ask you several questions about English. So several questions means some questions about English. No problem, you're welcome. What interests you? So what interests you? So what is interesting for you? What do you want to know? I'd like to know more English words. Right. It's very important to be able to use them effectively. So to be able, it means that it's very important, yeah, when you can use them effectively, very well, very well. So I mean in your speech or when you speak. Yeah, that's the problem. I know about 3,000, yes, I know about 3,000 English words, but I can't use all of them in my speech. I see what you mean. It's called, yeah, it's called, or we call it, yes,